Travis Scott has recently got himself into trouble after the events of his Astroworld concert that left at least 8 people dead. Upon viewing the footage of him at the concert and his apology afterwards, I noticed several signs that could indicate he's a psychopath, clinically referred to as antisocial personality disorder. As I mentioned briefly in my previous video, psychopaths only make up about 1% of the population, but in the business world and with highly successful people, that number is as high as 21%. Therefore, it wouldn't be a stretch to assume that a lot of celebrities, who are worshipped as gods, have psychopathic and sociopathic personalities. In this video, we are going to take a look at Travis Scott's behavior before, during, and after the concert, and show the signs of him potentially being a psychopath. Being able to spot dangerous personalities in the real world is a skill everyone should develop, as inviting these people into your life can be detrimental. Before we begin, however, be sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. The first major characteristic that separates psychopaths from normal people is a lack of empathy or remorse. This is the main characteristic that is highlighted most in movies and television, and tends to be the trait most people associate with being a psychopath. I will be showing many news articles and clips in this video, as well as going over many signs of him being a psychopath, but to me, the lack of empathy is a dead giveaway and is the most obvious one here. Even in the other signs I will be showing throughout the video, you will see an overarching lack of empathy in all of these interactions. The first thing I noticed when watching the Astroworld footage was the sheer number of people screaming for help, and the fact that either the staff or Travis Scott noticed that something was wrong, yet did nothing. Travis Scott actually stopped 3 times and acknowledged something was happening, as seen in the playing clip, but he never stopped the show. There were actually several people who interacted with the Live Nation crew and told them someone had died and the show needed to be stopped. The response of the crew upon hearing this was to threaten to throw them off the 15-foot scaffolding back into the crowd. This shows the culture of Astroworld, which was shaped by Travis Scott, was one of disregard for fans or empathy. I will dive into the Astroworld culture more in a bit, as there is a long history of him not caring about people at the venue. The most obvious sign that Travis Scott didn't care and had no intention of stopping the show was when he literally looked directly at a passed out fan and kept eerily singing. There are tons of videos of bands stopping the show to make sure fans and staff are okay. This is expected, in fact. However, here we see several instances of Travis Scott noticing that something was wrong, but then continuing to perform. He actually completed the full concert that night of the tragedy. Travis Scott later released an apology video, which further shows his lack of empathy. In fact, he doesn't even apologize in said video. We instead see Travis Scott say he is sending out prayers and looking to get to the bottom of this. His body language is not congruent, however, with someone who is sad or remorseful. He rubs his head a lot and closes his eyes, almost as if he is trying to fake that he's emotional and might cry. His body language instead seems to show that the whole thing is an inconvenience to him. Almost as if he's saying, "Oh man, 8 people died. Gotta make an apology video now." The whole thing comes off as very disingenuous, and it's obvious to the point that the average person viewing it for the first time can feel he doesn't care. While alarming, someone having low empathy cannot definitively mean someone is a psychopath, as there needs to be a cluster of behaviors from a span of time to come to that conclusion. Let's now look at some other signs of antisocial disorder that Travis Scott has exhibited at prior events.
When I do my shows, I be so turned, man. Like, I'm all about the blood. You know, we got to turn up.
The
blood?
It's
all about rage and just like the...
Who's bleeding on stage?
I mean, I'm not bleeding, but the fans are like
I feel you.
Giving their bodies.
Right. Psychopaths are very impulsive and behave in ways that disregard the rights of others and the laws set in place. The culture at Astroworld Fest was one where fans were encouraged to be violent. They were often told by Travis Scott to rage or go home, as seen in this clip.
Hey yo, listen son, this is not no ballet, this ain't no runway, this ain't no dance show. You either get on this stage and rage, or take your motherfucking ass home, you understand?
They were also encouraged to fight security and storm the stage. The Houston tragedy was in fact not even the first or second time this happened. In 2015, Travis Scott was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct after he told fans to climb over barricades and storm the stage. His performance lasted 5 minutes. The rapper is seen telling festival goers to climb over the barricades and move closer to the stage. "Everyone in the green shirt can get the F back," Scott says, referring to the security in the pit separating the crowd from the stage. "Middle finger up to security right now." Scott then further incited the Lollapalooza crowd with a chant of, "We want rage." This then led to the crowd storming the stage and the show being shut down. Travis Scott then fled and was later arrested. 2 years later, in 2017, Travis Scott was again arrested in Arkansas for disorderly conduct and inciting a riot. Psychopaths don't learn from their mistakes because they get a thrill from their actions, which encourages them to repeat negative behavior. We see this is highly apparent with Travis Scott, as he's been doing this since 2015. Travis Scott also has a habit of risking the lives of security, as we briefly saw in the Lollapalooza article, but is explained here in more detail by a former security guard at another concert. In this post, the security guard tells his story of how someone tried to jump on stage and he was holding them back when Travis Scott berated him and the rest of security for doing their job. Travis Scott then encouraged everyone yet again to storm the stage by saying, "Security can't stop you all." This obviously caused everyone to storm the stage while security barely held them back. Travis Scott then proceeded to insult security while praising the fans that broke through. The former security guard then goes on to say how Travis Scott nearly killed him and his coworkers that night and many of his fans due to a crowd surge. This means that Travis Scott has encouraged his fans to storm the stage and attack security at least 4 times that I have record of, and I'm sure there are many more instances. Travis Scott's history of inciting riots and creating a culture of chaos at Astroworld and other festivals is a reoccurring behavior of recklessness, thus a strong indicator of him being a psychopath. Time and time again, we see he indulges in a disregard for the law that would have landed any regular person in prison.
Travis Scott is the worst person I worked with in my entire career in music. I'm Travis Scott's former manager. I'm the one who had a seizure, and I'm the one that he left for dead in a basement in Los Angeles. The stories coming out of Astroworld and all the videos documenting the evidence are quite clear, and they align with what I know about Travis Scott. When he sees people in harm or danger, he tends to only continue thinking about himself.
Another major sign someone is a psychopath is frequent lying and manipulation. Since psychopaths have no empathy and are impulsive, this also means they will lie and manipulate without a second thought. The clip I showed is Shane Morris, who is Travis Scott's former manager. The portion I played in full gives us a look inside Travis Scott's character when it comes to friends and people he works with, but what's interesting is what he says later on.
I worked in the technology side of music. For Travis, what we did was fake his popularity. I programmed a fleet of SoundCloud bots to artificially inflate his play counts on SoundCloud. This told record label executives that he was much more popular than he actually was. We also did the same thing early on with Twitter.
Aside from Travis Scott being willing to manipulate play counts and use that as leverage to jumpstart his career, Shane Morris states later in the same video that Travis Scott was often caught trying to steal other artists' songs so he could take credit. Travis Scott has actually been sued multiple times for doing this very thing. This clearly shows a pattern of behavior that he has no problem manipulating public perception to make himself appear more popular, and that he is willing to steal to get ahead. Despite being caught and sued multiple times, he continues to do the same behavior. Psychopaths continue to lie and manipulate because they always believe they can get away with it next time and never truly take accountability for their actions. Part of the manipulation aspect includes being charming and superficial, which is why antisocial behavior can be very hard to spot and is the perfect combination for a celebrity. The final trait that is common in psychopaths and is very prevalent in Travis Scott is aggressiveness. Travis Scott has a history of acting very erratic and aggressive, especially during his concerts, probably due to the fact he feels invincible surrounded by his fans. In this video, we see Travis Scott spitting on a fan who supposedly tried to take his shoe and then encouraging the crowd to F him up, basically trying to incite another riot. In this next video, we see Travis Scott once again insulting his own security when a fan tries to get on stage. He then starts to aggressively poke the security guard in the head and push him while yelling profanities. Travis Scott seems to have an issue with authority, another sign of antisocial disorder. Then in this video, we see Travis Scott acting aggressively towards a fan because he called him ASAP Rocky. The two have had a long-standing beef for many years now. The final video shows Travis Scott fighting a fan in Arizona after one of his shows and then running behind his security. I'm not going to show the full video because I don't want to be smited by the YouTube gods, but you get the picture. These are just the videos I found in an hour of research, but with the unhinged attitude of Travis Scott, I bet there are many more. Not all psychopaths are physically aggressive, but Travis Scott seems to be especially so. Even without the videos of him literally assaulting people, the way he acts and encourages his fans to act make it obvious that he is a very aggressive person. Considering that Travis Scott seems to have all the common signs of a psychopath as shown in this video, it's my conclusion that he is in fact one. This video is not the type of video I usually do, as it's a very raw and serious topic, but it's important to show real-life examples of what dangerous personalities look like. Being able to spot and avoid these people is important because they can seriously affect your life on the path to success. While the events of the Astroworld concert were truly tragic, this event has really cast a light on Travis Scott and made it obvious of the true person that he is. I hope you can use what you learned from this video to spot dangerous personalities in your own life. Let me know down in the comments if you think Travis Scott is or isn't a psychopath.